As I occasionally do in my videos, today I'm going to bring a free print and play game to your attention. And today's game in the category is 30 Rails, a solitaire pencil and paper game of building railway networks. And some viewers have asked me why, when I talk about free print and play games, it is always solitaire games. The answer is very easy and simple. I am a parent, I have 2 daughters, and I also have a full-time job. So the time that I had to play with other people, when I can actually organize a game event and be in a room with other people, is limited. It's always less than I like. So when I have that kind of time, I want to spend it to play games that I couldn't otherwise, and that usually is published, printed games, professionally printed games that I have on my shelf, and I'm dying to try. But sometimes it's late at night, so no one is around, and I still want to play another game. I don't have any solitaire game around, and so it's easy for me to go on Board Game Geek, look for a solitaire print and play game, use my printer like Aladdin's lamp, boom, a game magically comes out of it, and that's it. That's why I tend to play solitaire games in the print and play format. It's late at night, and those are the games that I can play. Now, 30 Rails, however, is a game that came to my attention because of a game that I have played with friends. And the game is, well, you know what? It's there. It's there on the game shelf, somewhere in there. Can you see? Can you spot it? Can you imagine which game inspired me to play 30 Rails? As that one. You can pause and try to guess if you want. But it's that one. 1846, up there, 1846 by GMT, a game in a very well-known game system, the 18XX game system. This one is 1846, The Race for the Midwest, which I will cover in a future video. Now, if you play games in the 18XX system, you know that they are very demanding. At least for me, they are mentally draining. It's like, oh my gosh, after playing that game, I needed to recover for the trauma. I needed a change of pace, but I felt like playing other train games. And 30 Rails seemed to be the perfect solution. A game that is indeed like the 18XX games about building railway networks, but I do not have to go to see a therapist after I play 30 Rails. Now, so very simple, very portable. It fits in your pocket. It fits in my teeny tiny brain, so perfect. Now, all that you need here is a sheet of paper, and you can print special sheets of papers with the paper with the grid, or once you know how the game works, then all you need is 2 dice, a white one and a color one, pen or paper, and a sheet of paper, because you can easily draw your grid and draw all that you need. Maybe you can bring with you like a small player aid for scoring and for other functions, but then once you have the little player with you, you can play the game anywhere you are. You do need a grid, such as this one, 36 squares, each connected to numbers from 1 to 6 for each column and for each row. And also you have these gray areas around. I'll explain later what they are for. To set up the game, you roll a die 6 times and you draw a mountain for each line. So for example, I'm rolling on this line here, I rolled a 3, then I make a mountain here. I'm rolling for this line here and I make a mountain here because I rolled a 6. You can skip a row, and here, for example, in this example, the second row was skipped. Then in a space orthogonally adjacent to one of the mountains that I draw an M to indicate a mine. Also, I draw the numbers from 1 to 4 on an area on each of the edges, and this is why the gray areas are for. So 1, 2, 3, 4. These represent stations that I'm trying to connect to one another to score points, working around the mountains, trying also to connect my network to the mine. Also, I will place a special area somewhere on the board, a special area, and if I manage to cross that area, I score points. The more times I cross that area, the more points I score. So this is how my game looks when it is set up. I'm ready to go. Now, each turn I will roll my 2 dice, the white die and the color die, and they will tell me where, in which area I can place the new track that I'm building, the new segment of track that I'm building. The white die will give me the position, and the color die will give me the type of track that I'm building this turn. The number that I rolled on the white die indicates the row or column in which I will place the new track. I rolled a 4, then it has to be here or here. I cannot build in mountains, and I cannot build where I have built before, which also means that if the number of the white die gives me a row and column that are all full, which is impossible for me to add new tracks, then I can place the new track for this turn wherever I like. This is for the position. As for the type, that is given to me by the color dice based on this table here. And this is what the information they will want to copy on a small piece of paper on the back of a business card. And that's pretty much the main player aid that you need to play the game. With a 1, I will place a new curve that connects the 2 adjacent sides like this, and I can orient it any way I want. With a 2 is a straight line that connects the center of 2 opposite edges of the square. With a 3, then it's a double curve. With a 4, it's a cross, but I have to decide because they're crossing each other apparently, but in truth they represent 2 tracks that are not touching each other. So think of them as one being over a bridge and the other one going under the bridge, and so you can in truth represent that way or that way. Then here you have a bifurcation, and here you have the branching out, which can be in either side, branching out on the right or on the left. And also, again, remember, you can rotate things anytime you want. Twice per game, you may override the value of the die that you rolled. So if you're drawing your own grid, then you simply also draw 2 areas here and you cross them out. Each time that you override, you use one of your special things. After 30 turns, you will have filled up the entire map because there are 30 empty boxes where you can draw stuff at the beginning of the game. Hence the 30 rails, hence the name. So after 30 turns, you will have filled up the entire rail, the entire area, the entire grid with rails. Also, as you build the new rails, you can cross areas where you are, but you cannot go back to previous tracks and pretty much use the same track twice. You cannot travel on the same track twice. Precise like you have in 18xx games. So finally, after 30 turns, your grid will be full. Maybe it'll be very elegant and efficient. There'll be a mess, and that's usually when I play the game. And then you finally score. You score points. And here, especially at the beginning, and to exemplify, we can look at this, which is the player aid. Pretty much, you score points for each station that you connected. So I connected station 1 and 2, then I scored that number of points there. You see, it's sort of like hard to see, but I score 1 point for connecting station 1 and 2, for example, but I will score 3 points for connecting station 2 and 3, and 5 points for connecting station 3 and 4. Then I also check the length of the connection. So if I connected 1 and 2, I gain a point, and suppose the railroad that connects them is 4 squares long, then I score a 4 there. This is looks like a Tetris piece, but it represents the number of squares that the connection is made of. +2 if I was able with that connection to cross my bonus area, remember that one, then also the last column here is used to add together the number of the previous 3 boxes. So this is a column you used for the total. Also, the number of stations that are connected to the mine will score points. If I have a single station connected by a continuous line to a mine, I had 2 points, and then it goes to 6, 12, and 20, depending on how many stations are connected to the mine. And here I add the total of all of the stations that I connected, plus bonuses, length, etc., etc. And here I have my total. You did okay if you scored 40 points or more. Good, 50, excellent, 60. The first time I played, I scored like 12 points, so that was pretty far from okay. But this is how the game goes. This is, again, technically you print a copy of this every time that you play the game, but in truth you can just print and cut these two things and use them as player aids here and reduce them, print them on the back of a, write them on the back of a business card, and you're ready to play 30 rails wherever you are. And this is 30 rails, so this is the game. It's super simple, but it's disproportionately rewarding when you consider what you pay for. Again, so many of these free print and play games, the idea you get what you pay for really does not apply, because here you get much more fun than what you paid for. It's a simple game. It's a really nice change of pace after playing some really heavy, hardcore train games. It doesn't have the cutthroat element of so many train games because you're playing against yourself. Sometimes you do get the sense that the dice are trying to stab in the back. That is true. That is accurate. But you know, it's a statistical illusion. In truth, it's a game that really hits a soft spot for a light, simple filler solitaire. And maybe you're waiting for your friends to show up. Maybe you are at a bus station, or just, you know, you had those 10 minutes that you want to spend playing an analog game and not an app game on your phone. Then this is a perfect option, because it's fun, it is challenging, it definitely requires some thinking and some planning. Keep your options open, try to catch opportunities as they arise, deal with the fact that you never get what you want. At least that's my experience, but again, maybe it's just because I'm not such a good player of train games. Either way, it's a soft spot because it have enough challenges to keep you entertained, while at the same time really being fast, playing easily, not feeling overcomplicated. A lot of replay value because you're going to have a lot of different combinations. The game is going to hand you a lot of different situations depending on what you roll. I had a game where I barely rolled like any straight tracks. And of course, the next one I was only rolling straight tracks, or almost entirely. So great element there, because you really have certain strategies that you have in mind, but then you have to adapt, and you have to give some thinking here to handle the symbols that you're given. You really have to give some thinking, but again, not overthinking. It's a puzzle game that to me is what a light puzzle game should do. Enough me to keep entertained, not too much worried, not too much stuff in there that I need to worry about, and then it doesn't become fun anymore. For a simple, light, and free print and play game, there's a good one. When you talk about free print and play games, you already know that I'm talking about the ones that I like, because they're so little known. I don't think there is any point for me to say, I want to bring this game to your attention so that you don't print 2 sheets of paper by mistake because it's not that good. It's useless. Those games are not known enough to really to really be a danger for your wallet, to be a danger for the gaming community. The danger, however, is to overlook some smart designs that are out there and are available for free, that the designers generously put out for us to enjoy. And 30 Rails is one of such games. One of such games that really is a smart game, simple, elegant, a little gem, one of those well-kept secrets on Board Game Geek. And well, maybe the secret is not a secret anymore, but I think that's all for the good. Give it a try. If you like train games, this really is a fun, simple, little train game, a solitaire one, and definitely one that you can afford.